Okay, so this video is going to go over using Siemens Acyclic function block for IO-Link masters. In particular, we're going to show our IFM masters and how we can change parameters on a IO-Link sensor. Real quick though, we're going to jump into TIA portal and we're going to show you a quick overview. There are other videos that show you how to set it up. In my case, so that we don't get any error messages because I only have one IO-Link sensor connected, and the device configuration. Here's my master all set up. Ports I'm not using have to be deactivated so that they don't cause a fault. And here I just have port number 1 set up for IO-Link 32 in, 32 out to make sure I can plug into any IO-Link sensor and work with it. Okay, and we'll see back in the main program here that I have the function block running here. This is the trigger, the hardware ID. That is another good thing to note. If we're not familiar with Siemens, we need to go back to the AL master itself, and we're going to highlight the port that we're going to communicate to, and you have to go down and select properties. And underneath properties and system constants, you can see the hardware identifier of 270. That needs to be put in so that we can communicate with the sensor. All right, so we're back in the project. We got 270 listed there. Okay, for all IO-Link masters, which are IFM, this cap is going to be B400 in hex. If this is true, we're going to do a write through the acyclic command. If it is false, we're going to read from the index. And we also put in the port number. Interesting enough, you have to put in a port number. I mean, we just clarified it with the hardware ID, but port number. And then we have to figure out which index, subindex, and if we're going to read or write a byte or 2 bytes typically. Let's see here. This needs to have a database that is 0 to 231 bytes set up. So yeah, you can do the acyclic commands back and forth. That was easy enough to do. We started up a database. You just have to come in here and set that up to be an array 0 to 231 of byte, and just an empty array so that we can exchange or write data to the indexes. So the rest of these things here, I just put memory byte locations or integer or word locations so that we can actually, when we're online with this, see the value or change the value that we're getting for the trigger, etc. So these all just need to be filled out if we're going to use them with the function block. And before the function block, I've included a move. So the examples that we're going to use are just a simple byte of data. So I can move a 3 into data 0, the very first byte of this array, and then I can do a write to make changes to the parameters I'll show you today. Now, the sensor we have connected is a pressure sensor. We need to find out what indexes we're going to write to and where to find that information. So let's take a quick jump over to our browser, and all IO-Link sensors have a datasheet page. We scroll down, click on downloads, and we scroll down, we will get to IODD downloads and the PDF document. There's typically only one. In this case, there's the factory setting on this unit that we want to click on. And when you do, you get this document. Page 2 is showing us the cyclic data and how you'll need to parse it when it comes into the PLC. Different subject, but I did want to touch on that. If we go to page 7, this is where I'm going to change via index 554 the color of the LED display. We'll see here that there is no subindex. It's a single byte. It has read-write access. The default is 2, and if you go up the page, there we go. The default is 2, and the values that you can put in. So simple enough to toss that in there. So let's jump back into TIA portal and let's make that change. I'm going to minimize this down a little bit. We're just going to go from, right now it's 3, which should be green, and we'll change it to a 2, which should make the display red. Let's see. Oh, I closed out my camera. That's all right. There. Look at that. All right. So there's our PN. 2694 that we want to change the color of the display. Okay. And we'll pack back up here. And so to change that, I'll come into my code. I'm going to change that to 2, which moves it here, which moves it into the database. How do I know it's in the database? I can come here. And if we click on the little goggles up here and hit play, you can see that the monitored value is now 2. So the value that's sitting in the database. Now I can come up to the function block here. We can highlight our trigger. You could right click and modify to a 1, which is just Control F2 is what I'm usually doing, is just the shortcuts. So let's make that a 1. It went busy, it went done, and our display is now red. And we are still here. I'll do a Control F3. It'll make the trigger low. And if I need to, 3, trigger high, and now it's green. So those are the basics of using the Acyclic function block for IO-Link masters in TIA portal. Thank you, and have a good rest of your day.